Okay, I am joined again today by my very good friend Rich Chekin. Rich, please say hello to everybody.
Hello, glad to be here.
So Rich, what I want to talk to you today about is mining and ETF stocks versus holding physical metal.
Two very, very different things, I might add.
They are, but I mean, my goodness, in so many conversations, I've had people confuse the two.
They're different, in my opinion. Okay, the exchange-traded funds, mining stocks, all wonderful to have in your portfolio for the right reasons. They come from an equities allocation, not to be confused with gold ownership.
Okay, so let's start off with why is this so important? Why do people need to know and understand this and not just make not just confuse the two?
Well, it's important because they do different things for your portfolio. And, if your goal is to own a car, you don't buy a bicycle.
Okay.
Right? Just a very simplistic example. The same thing with, say, GLD and gold. When you buy gold, you own gold. When you buy GLD or SLV or some other ETF, what you're owning are shares in a trust that's job it is to mimic the gold price. Okay, and that trust is very, very well protected in the fine print. The investor isn't as protected.
So that's actually more like your example is if you want to buy a car, don't buy stock in Tesla.
That's a good point, too. That's a perfect point, actually. They're different things. Now it has a purpose, and it's very popular with institutions. It's popular with, it makes it easy to participate in the sector, but it's not gold ownership.
Okay, so you've kind of already answered this, but what is it that GLD and SLV are holding? Because, I mean, from my experience, I've seen that it's supposed to be 1/10 of the price, but I mean, it never really is.
Yeah, it's hard to do. And, it's a fund.
Okay.
So there's a fund manager. Why? Because there's something to manage, okay? So let's say there are people pointing, clicking all day long, buying and selling GLD, and in the end, the fund manager has to buy 50 ounces of gold. The SLV manager pointing and clicking all day, and when they net it out at the end of the day, they say, okay, I've got to buy 5,000 ounces of silver.
Okay.
Neither one of them can do either of those things.
Really?
At all. It's not possible.
Oh, wow.
The reason is because there are practical constraints.
Okay.
The bullion banks, where they buy the metal from, and they do buy metal. There's metal behind this, okay? The bullion banks have a minimum purchase or sale of 100 ounces of gold at a time, or 10,000 ounces of silver at a time. So if I have to buy 5,000 ounces of silver, as a manager, I have to look at the market, look at the current situation, and determine, do I want to buy 10,000 ounces of silver and be long 5 overnight, or do I want to buy nothing and be short 5,000 ounces? That's why it never really always quite marries up.
Okay, and I mean, continuing on from this, we've had many conversations, and a lot of people, they say, I own mining stocks, therefore 10% of my portfolio is in gold or is in silver. But actually, the way that you look at it is a little bit different. Maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, and I would get those calls. I mean, 25 years ago when I first started on the phones with ASI, I would have people say, I have 10% of my assets in gold. I'm like, great, what do you have? And I'm thinking kangaroos, eagles, Credit Suisse bars. And they would say Newmont Mining.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them that they had absolutely no gold at all.
Yeah.
They had equities, which are okay. They can generate leveraged returns that gold can't. That's wonderful, but you got to know what you're buying. You got to understand the investment, and you got to understand the limitations too.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I mean, the reason you're buying it. In so many conversations, you've told me about using it as wealth insurance, as a store of value for your purchasing power. Well, I'm sorry, but an equity is not going to do that. That's not what its roles and responsibilities are. And I would also add that mining stocks can be quite up and down. I mean,
well, they can, because there are a lot more variables in play. Gold, there's no variable.
Sure.
It is what it is. It's got a price. Nobody manages it. Therefore, nobody mismanages it, right? But with mining stocks, although you can get leverage returns and they can be wonderful participation in that market, you have variables like, how is the management team doing? What's their history? What's their experience? Are there environmental issues? Do they have problems with indigenous personnel? Have they a need to do more exploring? And they have to spend money on that, drilling equipment, whatever the case. space. There's a lot more to it, and it can be very lucrative for shareholders, but you own no gold.
Yeah, that is a super, super important point. So I hope that people are paying attention. So I've seen in the mining stocks that, especially with the junior miners, we see these volatility, the ups and the downs and the swings. Maybe you can give us a couple of comments on that.
Yeah, well, the big thing with the mining sector, and that's not my world. I don't broker mining stocks. I do participate in them. I do watch them and discuss them. You just have to understand the roles, right? Junior miners typically never produce. Their job is to find and prove a deposit, put everything in place, the transportation, the ore, crushing facilities or whatever the case might be, electricity, power. They need to market it, and they need to get themselves in a position where the big boys, the majors, buy them out and produce. That's their role in life, is basically to sell out. And they will all tell you, we're never going to sell out, we're going to produce. They never do.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
So that's their exit
job.
strategy, is to go out there to explore, to do all the samples, get everything ready, and then get scooped up with someone who can take the next step.
They want to demonstrate that there is something here worth producing. That's their role in life. And if they do that well, the shareholders are rewarded handsomely.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rich. I really appreciate your time to kind of discuss miners versus ETFs versus physical metal and kind of look at the different reasons why and what you need to keep in mind. So I will talk to you soon, and thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks.